Hi there. Today I want to talk about why I think math is important. But before I start this video, I kind of want to explain what math is. Now, math is a study of numbers. And to be more specific, it's a study of sequences. It's a study of series. It's a study of graphs. It's a study of patterns. And so that doesn't really answer a question why it is important. Why I think is important is because it led to, technological improvement in our world. Math even led into greater inventions that we really rely on, such as cars, iPods, iPads, trains, airplanes, rockets, and etc. But where did all these inventions come from? How were we able to invent all this stuff through math? We weren't, because math is basically a really good blender. Math can blend in with any sort of study and create a new one. So if we add science with math, we can create what is known as physics. And physics is a study of motion using math models. And by using math, we can explain what is going on through the motion that we're looking at. But we're not really going to talk about physics right now. We're going to talk about a more intriguing idea. And the more intriguing idea that I think is math and psychology. Now, psychology is basically the study of mind and behavior. And if we blend math and psychology together, we create what is known as psychometrics. And psychometrics is basically the study concerned with theory and technique of psychological measurement. Now, the first person to ever adapt this idea was Francis Galton, and he basically led to the creation of psychometrics by writing a book called Hereditary Genius. And in the Hereditary Genius, he covered the domains of scientific psychology, such as reaction time, visual acuity, and physical strength. But we don't really focus on that mainly. We focus on two topics in psychometrics. We focus on the construction of instruments and procedures for measurement, and the second one is the development and refinement of theoretical approach to measurement. And one of the good examples is the forgetting curve. Now, a forgetting curve is basically a graph, as you can see, that shows the decay of memory loss. And so y does never reach the 0, and a is between 0 and 1. If I were to say something like, if I learned how to spell 80 words, and then I didn't practice them at all, and so what happened is, each day I forgot how to spell 10 of those words, how will it be shown? How will it be illustrated on this graph? Well, we can easily say that, the 0 is where it's the initial starting point. So day 1, it can be 70. Day 2, it can be 60. And then 50. And then we start to decline until we reach the y. Until we reach the x-axis. But the question is, why does the graph never touch the x-axis? Well, the reason is because if we review these words, we can replenish, our memory. And when we replenish our memory, there's no memory loss. There's only a balance. Because if we learn something, we can never forget it. And that's what sort of psychometrics kind of talks about. And we just talked about how we use math to kind of explain the memory loss. And this is just a standard example. You know, to get into the specific of why it's important in real life, you know, by looking at crimes, you know, like let's say a burglars, right? We can sort of identify using psychometrics of, you know, of why they rob places. And we can develop math models to look at that. But see, that's why psychometrics are so intriguing. It's because we can identify what the robber is going to do. You know, is he going to rob this place or is he not? And math can also tell us of, if we're looking at burglary, for instance, or murder, or any other crimes that a person can commit, basically we can use statistics to figure out where burglary, well, for instance, let's focus on burglary, and we can use statistics to identify where the most crime has occurred. And basically statistics will show us that, like, if I have an area, let's say this whole square is an area, and I divide it into 4 parts, and I say there's 79% that has been robbed, 19% of people have been robbed here, so I can say 1% is here, 1% is here. Where would the most robbery occur, or burglary? It would be in this part right there. It would be in this part, because it has a higher percentage. But see, burglars in other cases use of what is known as permutations to sort of commit their robberies. Now, permutations is the order of arranging things. So if I said the word math, for instance, we can say that math can be rearranged into 4 factorial. So we can rearrange this word 12 times. And by using that, robbers can be able to hack a safe or figure out a combination to, I don't know, like a lock, or even like, what uses combinations? Or sorry, what do you need for combinations? Well, they use permutations. So like if this was a combination, a password for, and we identified these 4 letters, they're gonna just use all these 12-letter arrangements to hack into the into the safe, and then they're gonna take something from you. And so we can prevent that through psychometrics. We can prevent that. And that's why I think math is important. So by blending in with other studies, we can sort of identify and stop burglary, and even in other cases, we can get even more farther into technology by using physics. And this is why I think math is important. And again, thanks for watching.